Instead, that's what they're gonna hope for. That's what they're gonna look for, and I like it. This is all 5 of them committing onto a site. They're gonna run into brawk, and they're gonna overpower him maybe. But yeah, theirs is already gravity well to start, and this is gonna be a hard push onto the site.
Yeah, there's a good defender here in brawk, getting that shock dart down range already. Up through short goes the doggy, but it's going to be sent back home, kicked out. And the Mafia are going to fall away here. They've called the rotations all the way over from Complexity. This is a great read to go back towards C site here. AGM, though, with a frenzy, can shut down a couple. This is probably the best gun AGM could possibly have in this situation. The rotations are coming back here from Complexity, but will they be in time? The Hawk is a bait. Miniature capitalizes, and AGM falls early. Ohai is here, ready to lead the charge back in 17 seconds for a flash, so they might just have to go in dry. In comes the Nebula, comes the push. jcrueL 1, brawk in the second, jcrueL 2, but it's going to wipe out for Mafia as they will eliminate the opposite Amelia in this opening round. Solid pistol, good bit of fake, kept the Cypher on the lurk, and overall Complexity bit that one hook, line, and sinker, and they pay for it.
Absolutely. I love that when they just kind of bum rushed and forced a bunch of rotations over onto A site. You can hear it, like when you have some bodies over and like how that is going to, you'll hear like those running footsteps. They already had someone making that post up onto B, knowing that, hey, this is gonna, on C site, that is gonna be an open site. So, you just 180 away, run fast and get going, and it should be good.
I don't know how Valyn got out of that. Owl drone, players shooting down, somehow Valyn gets out unscathed. But I like this default call here from Mafia. They're going to wait for those pushes from Complexity, and jcrueL shows that right there. ohai and brawk getting mowed down by Dynamic. Great spray control on the Spectre. And Miniature's going to pick out one elsewhere, but Dynamic should be able to get that third. Does indeed. Now Valyn maybe gets one, but probably not. I think it's going to be a flawless here for Mafia. Unless Miniature gets caught out. Miniature's not that high on health. The classic headshot.
Ooh.
And now the Guardian. This might even be a save call from Valyn here, but could go for the exit, steal some more damage. Caught from behind by Niliaz, though. And instead, Mafia only losing one. Guardian recovered. 2-0 up.
Yeah, and this is going to be what I kind of touched upon at the start of the round, is where there's that tempo control. I understand with Complexity on their save round. I've definitely seen this from them before. They will just hyper aggress and push through, knowing that all we have is pistol. So what else can we do other than maybe try and overrun them? It usually works on smaller maps. With a wider map that is Haven, definitely makes it a lot more difficult. And with Dynamic already Bladestorm in hand, it looks like they're just gonna want to try and push their way through into Garage.
Yeah, they're going to bully their way in here, get a lot of control, but they're going to fade off of it, getting some damage done, and that's going to be all they have for now. A little bit of presence shown out towards A, and jcrueL on the operator will be able to finish off a Miniature here. B seems to be the play from Mafia, taking that middle of the multiple choice test. This collapse from Complexity can end their run real quick. Shock darts going into that Nebula will not find a mark. Is Garage Control taking it again, but AGM on no HP, able to pick that one up. Dimsum, though, has spotted one at the very least. Brawk has a trade. Niliaz has one more back. Valyn holding the line. Dimsum boy caught out and eliminated. Niliaz now needs to go for more. Hawk out, sends a second as a fake. They turn away, gets one more for his troubles. But Complexity, pretty staunch defense here once the guns are in their hands.
Yeah, they definitely adjusted and felt much more happy now that they have their comfort, their rifles as well. But that's kind of going to be something that they're going to have to take into account. So far, we've seen Mafia, their playstyle seems to be a 4-1 split of sorts, with Miniature kind of lurking around, trying to pay attention to rotations and all that. And now that Complexity, they do have that guns, they're playing it a lot more passive, knowing that, what, the onus is on Mafia to make stuff happen here. Let's try and just gather a bit of information, but not give them those early pickoffs and rotations that they are looking for right now to overwhelm the site, whatever the 4-man roster is holding. Well, Miniature is off to his lonesome trying to figure things out.
Still, yeah, that 4-1 setup holding strong for Mafia. Tinker go from ohai. Get some information, some critical information. But Dynamic spamming the smoke. It's a headshot into the sky. That's going to open up this A site quite considerably here. No more flashes to defend. Valyn sitting in the smoke. Popping out though. Pops one. Not able to finish up on Dim Sum Boy. However, Niliaz has chimed in too. The rotations have been eliminated. Now there's only 2 left for Complexity. brawk keeping an eye on mid. jcrueL most likely going to save that AWP. And it's an abysmal round for Complexity. They get unlucky on that first, and then unable to trade out after that. The Mafia clean on the entries. Great bit of utility waiting things out too. They're going to keep that lead. They're going to grow that lead. This Haven looking very strong from them in the early going.
Yes, so if anybody's like paying attention to how the Mafia has been playing this, and I've touched up on it earlier, you just see like how slow the flank and rotation is on the side of not Dim Sum Boy, a Miniature has been on that Cypher, which is great. That's what the strength of Cypher is with his traps and all that. I do like the adjustment that Complexity did. It is unfortunate that they lost out on the duels on A site, but you saw Mafia showing themselves a little bit on A main. Rotations from B did not really happen and commit until after that first pick was taken and one of the Complexity players died. And that's how they should be doing it, because they've already learned that Mafia, they're not necessarily committing to a site just because you hear or see them there. And I almost feel like this is the hardest part about this map is how spread out you have to be as being on the defense, and it's even much more difficult when you lose a player. It's just so frustrating that you're so spread out so thin. And this is going to be a bit of a default play now for the Mafia. They do have these like rifles that they want to do. They're trying to go pick. I like that they're switching it up a bit. There's a lot of mid presence now happening here for them, and it looks like they're gonna use a bunch of utility burn through B.
Enemy tag.
There's some good information here from brawk on this owl drone. Knows there's at least 2 players out in middle. The spike gonna rotate back towards A from. If they actually know that, they're just gonna wait. They're just gonna wait this out. ohai's in a good fast rotation spot though, but if they do rotate towards A, which now seeming to be a little bit more possible, it could get very messy for him. jcrueL has the operator holding in towards mid, but they're going to rotate in through garage. This is a good read, but Complexity, they're prepared for this take. They have a couple players over towards more passive C angles. The 2 players in B can rotate in quite quickly. And ohai on the flank can go all the way through towards C long. Valyn holding, has to destroy that recon bolt, will not reveal the positions. Now, Dynamic opens things up, and AGM trades it back, spraying for another. No, jcrueL does chime in with one. Valyn runs into another, but jcrueL holding things down with the operator. Critical somehow not getting that spray, and now the time is in the critical mass. Critical 1-2, not gonna even get one. Valyn shuts him down, and Complexity will strike back with another round. They had the right reads, they had the right plays, and that first pick did not go the way of Mafia. They weren't able to thin out the defense early. Complexity took full advantage of that.
Should I play some stars in this reality?
Yeah, the timing that happened, I mean, I can understand, like, this is the play that Mafia has been doing so far, and it has been working out for them. Make a lot of noise, make a lot of presence in one site, rotate out, and brute force into another. The problem is I almost feel like they kind of waited a bit too long to force their way onto C, because when you're forcing a lot of players from Complexity on B site, that's the middle. That they'll be able to rotate really fast to whatever site you end up taking. But they're gonna start things off. Seekers already in play to try and push back the rest of Complexity, and this is gonna be the site that they're gonna contest here is B, as that spike will go down.
Critical holding the line here. ohai just around the corner. Dynamic with this buck, he can really make life hard. Pushes it perfectly. Only able to get one as ohai trades it back. Now it's all going back and forth. 2v2. We devolve as the Killjoy lockdown detains one. Niliaz caught out by the Seekers, but ohai not able to peek just yet. Blinds himself, but swings out with the Guardian. jcrueL finishes off the Cypher, and Complexity with a furious retake, especially off the back of that 3K there. Be able to make things happen and tie things up. B side not open for the Mafia. A has been their side of success so far. Might just have to try it again.
Yeah, that is the strength of a killjoy on this map is you know, I've seen AGM do this before as well. That is just killjoy utility on B side. They're so close that you're pretty much putting yourself in a difficult angle to try and even contest it. Your hope right now is to make a bit of noise, try not to get picked, force them to pop it and use it and burn it out. But because it's in B, Killjoy is able to watch both the garage and keep her utility active on B side. And that's going to be frustrating because that's a map that even like trying to use a shock darts, it's not going to work and they kind of miss out it. But it's dynamic with the blade storm. They're still trying to do this. And that's, again, they're trying to burn through that utility.
They're gonna
see they're in B side, but it doesn't look like they're committing, no?
I think they
Oh,
are. They're
Yeah,
just waiting at those
okay.
nano swarms. They knew they were there. That's an interesting plan. It's going all the way into the corner. There's so much information. They know where it is. jcrueL needs to land that opening shot. brawk is here too. Cosmic Divide coming out from the Mafia. This should make things a lot easier for them. Valyn, though, with one critical. Makes it 3 on the Guardian. Dynamic chimes in with one more. This round's over. It's done and dusted. And Miniature with a Marshall is the one to finish off AGM. Huge round with the Mafia. It's a great answer back from them. They just stormed that B site. Made them burn that utility.
Yeah, and I mean the strategy here is line up for the Guardian. You're welcome. And but I mean they're pretty much doing what was expected, where you're trying to burn through that Killjoy utility, and I do like that they ended up committing, because at one point with them posturing and having to wait out all of the mollies like burning through, I thought that they would try to push their way onto A main, but it's all about keeping complexity on their toes. They had to make some adjustments, and as you see it right now, the rest of the team already rotating to C, and there's nothing really here to hold it down, but that gravity well does its job delaying that push. And again, we've seen it, you know, the Mafia. Oh, dynamic though, he's getting put, doesn't matter. Finds the head. That is a neural theft used as well. Complexity, they're dropping here.
They are falling fast as Dynamics on for the ace. Now shut down by AGM, equalizing the beautiful headshots from Dynamic. Those first 3 shots coming out from the attacking jet were nothing short of flawless. Well, Ilias is going to finish off the last 2. Not quite as stylish as Dynamic with the 1-taps. But a round is a round, kills are kills. Let's look at this replay. That first one was absolutely huge. And then this, 1, 2. That's insane.
Very beautiful. I mean, okay, we're back to what is for both sides, somewhat of a normal buy on both sides, because, you know, we've kind of seen some real weird economy back and forths, and trying to adjust for that strategy-wise has to be frustrating when you're the team kind of on the save. We saw Mafia, they at least like got it, you know, in a 1-3 round. Complexity clearly was not in favor for them that last round, but these are a lot of utility burned once again at the start. Critical though will take AGM out. That's a lot of Killjoy utility now dead in the water.
Yeah, it's a big player to lose early on. AGM and Critical making good use of the information, plus the tag of the Hunter's Fury. brawk will get a shock dart kill back to get some revenge, but it's still not going to make things all the easiest. Look at Miniature too. The flank all the way in through B has all the control. brawk activating the Hunter's Fury too. It's jcrueL to actually finish the job, and Valyn has another ohai holding the line for Ilias and Miniature. Well, I agree. If I was in that spot too, I would be doing the same thing. Knife out, shaking my head. And now it's time to see what Miniature can manage. I think Miniature might have spotted the cape. I think there might have been some slight pixel of knowledge. Miniature's ready. That's a messy spray. Converts to jcrueL though. Getting sprayed upon. brawk falls too. Miniature's not done with this one yet. Swapping back to the Phantom. Headshot onto jcrueL. It's all down to ohai. Miniature's made this possible. But the spike rests at the feet of the sky. ohai's in the Cypher cage. ohai rotating around. It's all going to come down to who lands the first shot. Seekers are out. ohai swings. Perfect use of the ultimate. And it will be the headshot converted for Riley. Complexity 4, Mafia 5. That was a close round. Miniature making that one way more dangerous than it should have been.
very close. I mean, they just gave him so much 1v1s, and it kind of makes sense. There was supposed to be a crossfire on site, but it's kind of hard to do that or to do a trade when you have an operator in hand and you do want to protect it. Unfortunately, it just didn't pan out. And you know what? I'm all for using those Seekers in the end like that on the side of ohai, because you do not want to lose that round. That would have put Complexity at a huge economical disadvantage.
Blinded.
Let's see what happens here. Looks to be another A play from the Mafia. They're leading in with the Trailblazer, but as has been their custom, Miniature is lurking elsewhere on the map. And I think they might be waiting for him to find a little something else here. I don't think they necessarily want to commit too hard and fall into the same trap as last round. The Seekers have been used. I know there's so many players here on A, and that's exactly what they were waiting for. Miniature, though, was caught out by Valyn. That's going to put a little bit of a spanner in the works here. The Mafia. What is the plan now? The Godfather, the last round's dead. We have to figure out something else. Valyn still holding back, has a recon bolt to destroy, manages that. Behind that Nebula playing around. Dynamic close and personal. One lurking in Garage 2. jcrueL, though, that's a spike dropped. Information all to the favor of Complexity. And jcrueL will shut down another. Dynamic dashes away. Low on health. brawk and ohai, the last 2 kills. 5-5. And there's 5 alive for Complexity. That's a strong response here, going to the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same thing over and over again, and I almost feel like Complexity, they're starting to understand that it's not necessarily that. I mean, that lurk is already giving a lot of information as far as, okay, they're not committing here. I was just found one of the players like far off with everybody else. Seekers expended, Flash expended, but that wasn't the site that it's a distraction. And they keep doing it again and again because, you know what, I can understand. There's a bit of a struggle if you're trying to push into a Killjoy utility, trying to push into the Astra's Gravity Well. It has to be very difficult. The last time that the Mafia tried to do this and they got pinchered on A site, it got very difficult for them too. So it kind of comes down to, how do we burn through all of this utility so we can get that site? Because look, that is already the pick. Dynamic trying to push and aggress through with those blades, it doesn't matter. They're getting picked off right now because those rifles, there's so much advantage. Down to 2.
Yeah, it was a bit of a Chico here from the Mafia, and they're going to get picked off one by one. Nice little work there for Nilias to manage 1. But it's going to be Complexity grabbing 6, a chance for a 7th here on the defensive side of Haven. And Complexity, they're pretty even in terms of which side they win most of their rounds on. They're slightly more defense-sided, but it's a 2% difference here.
Yeah, this is going to be full buys across the board here, so there definitely is a good chance for the Mafia to tie this up for the half. They also have, you know, the neural theft available, but that's really all they have to play with against the utility and ultimates available for Complexity. And it just kind of comes down to, they need to almost find that like opening pick. Getting the Killjoy pick to start really opens up a side for them. But no, the opening pick swings to the side of Complexity. jcrueL cannot miss with that operator right now.
jcrueL's been incredible for Complexity, been a huge part of their run down the stretch. And I think they'll need a little bit more of that on the attacking side of things to continue this momentum. ohai getting some information about Lon, and well, of course it's jcrueL to get the next one. Bladestorm been popped, but Dynamics wormed on towards the A site, somehow sneaking in behind the grass. There's nobody here. It's a wide open site. It's gonna have to be a retake. And they're still incredibly split up with jcrueL, waiting for a cross. If there's one player you want holding this, oh, I thought he was gonna take a shot. At this point, it wouldn't have surprised me. jcrueL's been dialed in, seeing through the Matrix code. Miniature dealt with on the flank, but now Dynamic has to force the issue. Huge headshot. The lockdown's been popped off by Complexity. And jcrueL diving in. That's a suicide mission there for jcrueL, and he pays for it without even landing a shot. Some boy, 1 huge kill, but Dynamic now has to finish this off. Dynamic huge, isolates the first 1v1. Swinging back, Valyn holds the right angle, chooses the right direction, and Complexity will escape out of this one with a 2-round lead.
That got a little bit hairy over there. A lockdown is in play. I mean, that's the beauty of Killjoy
Switching
dying,
sides.
is that the lockdown stays alive, and I can see why jcrueL wanted to be aggressive on site. I don't necessarily think he was expecting with the lockdown still going that there'd be a body in there, but that's
Yeah.
what happens, and it almost felt like they felt the pressure once that lockdown comes off and nobody else was detained, that they needed to get on site quick. They used the cosmic divide. They tried to get onto site, but it was a really good call on the side of the Mafia to push through that wall even before anybody else got in there, because they had that information after jcrueL's death. And it was just unfortunate at that point. That was just like gun battle, and it could have gone either way. Everybody frags out in this game, but eventually it was complexity that wins it out. So, but now they're on the attacker side, and they're very tempo based, so we're already seeing it here. That's a lot of them gonna line up for Dim Sum Boy, as he already finds himself too.
That's a great double with the frenzy. Niliaz was there too, helping out with the great stun, plus a flash there too. Shock dart to push them away, and AGM and company will rotate out towards the A site, which has been abandoned, but they're going to go through short, and that's going to be all the information they need sound-wise for the Mafia to make their move. The cement sandals are being prepped. They're going to try and send these guys down the river. Spike plant coming through. 5v3 retake.
Spike
I want to see how many flashes Niliaz is going to have available right now for the side of the Mafia. It's going to make the retake all the more easy if there's a couple of those now. Val's been spotted. Dynamic huge dash away, stays alive for now. In comes one flash. Niliaz with one. Valyn trays, but Critical has the answer back. brawk now the last alive, and not too long left standing. Only one dies for the Mafia, and their pistol rounds look pretty darn impeccable.
That was very pivotal, because you want to get this round coming into this next, but this is round number 2, and complexity, they're going to be very aggressive. I mean, at least for the most part. If they want to change things up, knowing that maybe, hey, this is something we've already done time and time again, but hyper aggressive on the pistol round, it's a bit of a struggle, like I said earlier, on the defense, but they're on attack. So they should be able to find a way to probably overwhelm whichever site that they're choosing here. It did not work out for them the first round. So I'm curious to see how they're gonna, I mean, they're doing the same playbook. Push through garage, push through. This time around, no frenzy to line them up for them. It is Dim Sum Boy instead, with that SMG readjusting, finds 3. My god.
Well, it was still Dim Sum Boy, just a different spot of the map and a different weapon. And also, add another kill to the total. That's a wipe there for the Mafia. Complexity mode down. Tie ball game at 7 apiece. Let's watch this again, though. Dim Sum Boy is crisp with it. That was so clean.
That was absolutely clean. I mean, it's kind of a repeat of the start of the round. Complexity loses the first pistol round, play aggressive the second, lose out again, but this is the swing round. And it now comes down to, they have rifles against the SMGs of the Mafia. Let's see how we can adjust to this. Are they gonna do another run and gun into garage? Probably not anymore. We're not that necessarily great for morale. They're spreading things out a little bit here, a bit of a default. Makes sense. You want to take those long range fights. You want to try and maybe get the Mafia to expend a lot of their utility hold that they have. I mean, it won't be much. A lot of what they have does refresh, so that's the, the strength of that lineup. And it kind of comes down to burning down the clock, trying to figure out which site they want to commit to, maybe getting lucky and finding an opening pick. But Mafia, they're not going to be that aggressive as far as pushing. If they do, you can expect a trade.
Yeah, it's a wise decision from the Mafia here. They don't want to give that advantage to Complexity. Complexity got caught out several times in the last half by losing that first player. Mafia have learned from the mistakes of their opposition, but they've given up the C site. Mafia was so heavy A-leaning in that last half. They're expecting Complexity to follow suit, but Complexity are going back into garage again. 3 rounds they've gone through garage.
30 seconds.
This might be the time it actually works out, though, which is the crazy part.
Third time's the charm, right? They will get that spike down finally, and rest of the Mafia, they're still on their rotation, but I do like the way that they split this up. They're gonna make sure that they have all exits covered, keep Complexity trapped on site.
Just about 30 seconds for the next hawk for Niliaz. Dynamics working in on the flank, but AGM is ready for this. Only a frenzy here for the Jet, and AGM could get caught out walking through the smoke. Does not lose that duel. Valyn will not either. Brawk, it's another shot. Miniature chiming in though with one. Sprays away, runs out of ammunition, has to go to the classic. Right click pays dividends, and now a phantom upgrade. It's out of ammunition though. Miniature still alive, revealed by the location. Boom! Wow! Brawk is so low! Miniature has it! No way Miniature wins this. There's no way Miniature wins this.
He can't.
Yeah, there's no
Killjoy nano swarms are too strong, and that's the beauty of having Killjoy stay alive, get her utility set up. They wasted so much time in those duels. And you know, at that point, I almost feel like Miniature, fragging out, probably just wanted to try and save that rifle. Could not, like, even get that spike tapped at that point. The nano swarms was just going off. I feel like it's still kind of an expensive round on the side of Complexity, though, to get that spike down, that they lost so much bodies. But there are going to be probably like a point, an ultimate point and a kill away. Ultimates should be coming up online soon, and I almost put up, as I say this, so Brawk gets picked off by that operator. As Complexity, they were trying to make that noise safe, maybe force out that rotation. Instead, they lose a body.
AGM though spots out the Astro, just the tail end of the astral form fading away. Gonna re-aggress upon this too, but Dim Sum Boys rotated into garage, not gonna clear this angle, not going to expect this. Surely AGM might just have a golden ticket to a free kill. But Niliaz is going to work on through as well. AGM does capitalize, evens it up to a 4v4. And given the positions of Complexity in the Mafia, this is going to be a great flank on towards the C site yet again. But here's Miniature for two! The Vandal spray control is absolutely flawless. And now, 2v3 hold. The C site is known to be the target. There's a lockdown for AGM. It could be used. Information gained though, and Dynamics leading the charge with an operator. This is still a very good round for the Mafia.
Oh. You should run. One enemy remaining.
Down.
Oh.
That's it. That's the round.
That was the round for sure. And this is, I mean, we're coming into this again with a tie. And I mean, AGM, I really like. I've seen him do this time and time again, where even on a Killjoy, lurking, pushing, utility be damned, I'm out of range. Doesn't matter if I can get a pick, get the opposing team a bit frazzled as far as like how to play this. But
here,
the issue right now is Miniature. The other Sentinel on the other side, who kind of played the same role on the opposite side, but this time around, his headshot or his crosshairs, they're just connecting. And I almost feel like it doesn't matter how much map control is given up by the Mafia to Complexity, they're just getting those picks anyway.
Yeah, Complexity are running into brick walls that are the Mafia individual players. It doesn't seem that there's a way for Complexity back into this right now, unless they blind those players and take them out early. Dynamics in a great spot to have some kills going his way too. It doesn't matter if it's rifle, operator. Dynamic finds some blood. The Seekers are out, and they know there's a couple players out in the middle. That's a lot of information gained for the Mafia. And now, it's going to be a funnel in towards Dynamic. The operator ready. Nebula out. Dynamic is going to hold this?
Oh.
That's overzealous.
At least he got the spike carrier, and that is an operator donated, but with the Cosmic Divide expended on the side of the Mafia, it's surprisingly, bodies are dropping. It's a 2v2. They're getting those headshots. Sheriffs don't miss.
Yeah, Mafia are rushing this play. They're rushing this round. There was no reason to overextend the operator. Now you give one over. Rifles can be picked up too. Now is the AGM's time to shine. Over against the opposite Sentinel. It's Judge, Jury, Executioner for Miniature. And wow, this Cypher has been insane for the Mafia. It's been keeping them in rounds single-handedly right now. 9-8. The Hop gets tossed back to Dynamic, but that's a round that should not have gotten that close for Mafia. They should have had that one pretty darn clean. It was pistols, barely anything for complexity. They come out with 4 kills in nearly that final 5th.
Yeah, I mean, that's an operator recovered, donated, recovered, taking it. Like, no takesies, backsies, just kidding. But yeah, Miniature, even, he's sitting second on the scoreboard, but honestly, he is the MVP so far this game. As you said, keeping Mafia alive here, and it almost feels like Complexity needs to make some sort of game adjustment to try and maybe either find a way to take him out first, play against his side, since he does typically play it solo as the Cypher, or find a way to like control B just like how the Mafia did last round. But honestly, like whatever strategy they have with Seekers coming out, it needs to come down to they need to win these gun battles, and that's been the struggle I think so far at this game.
Look at this Astra utility spam though, the Cosmic Divide, the Gravity Wells, Nova poses Nebulas, everything, and jcrueL gets a collateral onto 2? Nilius and Miniature have fallen, they've hit the deck, the spike is going down, and the Mafia are walled out of this now. AGM still on that lurk. Dim Sum Boy and company rotating around, trying to find somebody open. A free kill. Off shot rings out for Dynamic, but it's not going to land a mark. And I think it's going to be a save from the Mafia. They don't really need to contest this. They don't need to give the kills over to Complexity.
Look how far AGM is lurking though. Sorry, I just have to point. He wrapped around through sewers onto A. And he's going to run into Dynamic.
Yep.
Oh no, Dim Sum Boy finds him first.
Yeah, I was wondering if that timing would work out for AGM. It did not. Although that's a small consolation there for the Mafias. This is going to get tied up at 9 apiece. This is the Mafia's map pick, and given that map number 2 is Icebox, you almost have to think of this as a must-win for Mafia.
Oh, for sure. Like, whatever strategies you see Complexity running on this map, and I've already mentioned it at the start of the game, is that this map for Complexity is... it's a little bit dodgy. It's not their worst map. It's not their best map either. The way that they play, their like the play styles, like with the operator on jcrueL, the way that they handle their smokes, and the aggression and lurking on AGM favors the smaller map, which this one is not. Icebox. I mean, it's large as far as scale and whatnot, but it definitely lends to their play style more. But the Mafia, they can prove me wrong here as far as maybe they found a way to contest it, but that'll be for map number 2. Right now, we're seeing a tie game with a couple of utilities available for both sides here, and again, a lot of A noise, but that spike not necessarily fully committing just yet.
It's a very similar setup to what we saw Mafia pull off many times in that first half. 4 towards A, the 1 Sentinel lurking over towards B, but Miniature, look at that information. Look at that clearing. It's all going to be a stack towards A now for Mafia as they have all the information they need. Hunter's Fury tags, gets the kill onto ohai, and not just a second, but almost. AGM will eliminate Miniature. That's a good player to find. Oh, jcrueL dancing with death, but here comes the tag. jcrueL finishes off critical 2 and make it 2. AGM eliminates Nilias, and Dynamic somehow still alive after all of that contact, dodging the Hunter's Fury and all the players of Complexity. I think Dynamic might just be better served to save this op. Nice little dash there from jcrueL, playing that angle. What a shot from Dynamic to keep this op in hand. But eventually, the op will be stolen away as AGM is looking for
Look
this
at
fight.
jcrueL again, though. Attempt number 2.
Yep. If at first I don't succeed, I'll try again. But I guess you can't try for dead.
They know where he is, and they want to take that operator out of his hands. Oh, he's gonna run in. Is this finally gonna be that round? He knows. There it is. There's no way. AGM has been trying to do this. Attempt 2, 3, not successful. It's okay. You'll get another round to try. I was just going to point out, though, that watching these two teams, Honestly, it's almost like it's two different games. You have the 4v4 happening on one side of the map, and then you have Miniature and AGM battling it out on the lurk every time on the opposite side. Both of them like kind of run that same. We're gonna keep information gathering, or that's what the Sentinels do, right? And I just kind of find it funny that they're running it. But hey, this is a mid aggression right here, and brawk finds first blood. Miniature taken down, huge kill. I absolutely think so.
That is going to open things up, not to mention that the fact that it's Miniature they took out. And Miniature has been a menace here. Dynamic's been great too, but Miniature, I feel like I remember Miniature's rounds a little bit more. I remember Dynamic's 3K over towards C long, but other than that, yeah, there have been steady kills, but Miniatures just stick in the back of my mind. It's like that one guy you're dealing with in a game. It's like, I can't kill this dude. What's going on? Dynamic, though, needs to equal that, has the op, the firepower, and that's a dangerous shot right there. In comes Dim Sum Boy to shine here on the C side, excuse me. Location revealed, though. Dynamic's fallen too as brawk sprays down. jcrueL adds to another, and Niliaz in the smoke. Not
Oh my, what?
even. Got the dink, but it wasn't enough to find the kill.
No, it was not. That has to be like a little bit of like a horror situation where you walk through the smoke and they're like, oh, you're right here. Dash. Dash, jump, all of the buttons being pressed.
Button
I
mash.
mean, if you're ohai though, you have to be like, I hit you. Why aren't you dead?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a little confused. I know that there was a bit of a save, or not a bit, there was a save on the side of the Mafia, which is why they kind of had to aggress through mid the way they did. But it really slowed down that plan once they lost Miniature. And now maybe it might swing the other way. Nilias finds that spray through and takes out brawk. And there are pings as well. And is it Complexity still want to commit here? They're gonna try and see if they can still push through Garage.
Oh, got a tripwire out of that, so and information, so that's pretty solid. Nilias trying to get a second, unleashes the Seekers, but AGM's gonna mow those down. Lockdown initiated towards C. This is gonna draw rotations in towards the C site for the Mafia. And Miniature's able to dodge this. There's a couple players here on the site. There's cages up acting as smoke, but they go down. Huge flash, and Miniature mops up too. As I said, he's been so deadly, but valyn and AGM trade things back to a 3v2, and Miniature is oh so low on 30 health. valyn dropped by critical, though the spike rests on C, but Dim Sum Boy caught from behind by AGM. Not so sure what Dim Sum Boy was doing right there. Critical swings out open, headshot connected, 10-11, both teams not yielding an inch. This has been so back and forth here. As we get towards the end of this map, at least towards the end of regulation, there's nothing really separating these two.
No, I mean, honestly, at this point, just like watching how things are panning out for them in that round, even with the early pickoff and losing brawk at the start, Complexity, that was a good way to like push back Nilias, even like having to expend the Seekers, lock down in play. Unfortunately, you don't get all of C-side. So you have a couple of people sitting in the back. I don't necessarily think they realized that Miniature was boosted up onto that ledge, and they were just not looking in that right direction. Honestly, that's what it came down to, is that they were not looking where he was, and his crosshairs cannot miss right now.
Yeah, no, these two, Dynamic and Miniature, have been so strong for the Mafia. jcrueL and valyn, though, HGM too, making a bit of a case for themselves to equalize what's going on the side of the Mafia, but we have a technical pause here. So we're going to be talking things over. We're going to be waiting a little bit to get back to the game. This is a pretty critical juncture, though, for both these two teams. Complexity, they can just about reset the Mafia going into this next round if they win it.
Yeah.
That would set them
I mean,
up
look,
for 13-10.
look at the score line. Just like even paying attention to the score line, this map, it doesn't matter which side which team is. It's been a bit of a back and forth. And it honestly, it just comes down to getting those gunfights and having it swing in your favor. A lot of times the strategy seems pretty solid. Like either get an early pick, force that rotation, you expend the utility, get the lockdown, get spike on site. But then when it comes to the gun battles, and both teams both formidable and both like really well with each other, jcrueL doing really well with the operator dynamic, clearly sitting up top of the scoreboard, 21 and 15, doing very well for himself as well. And it's just, it is constant trades, constant bloodbaths when the two teams run into each other, depending on what site that they have to do. And no one's really playing for like what's it called, like an early pick and then readjust. Someone gets picked off at the start of the round, but no adjustments really are made on the gameplay, if that makes sense. They're still committing to whatever plan that they had. And you know, for the most part though, like I said, it's working. It gets complexity on site. It just needs to be, they need to have better post plant so that they can survive and get that spike down and protect it.
Ooh, a stun onto Dynamic. They're not going to be able to push the issue, though. There's 3 players towards short, so it would be deadly if they pushed on through, but Dynamic is eventually punished for the aggression. And, well, Complexity are going to heed your advice and move around and adjust here. They're going to move towards C, which is a great idea. They got the pick towards A, but they're just going to completely fall away. Mafia are reading this well, however. They've rotated 2 players, making a third over to protect the C site. Miniature is here, but not able to get anything. Ohai, the gravity well. I think that helped out as a counter strafe instead, but Dim Sum Boy comes in, nets 2 kills quickly. And we're just getting started here in this round. Round number 22. Shock Dart goes a little too wide, though. Spike is down. Blades are out. Cosmic Divide available for the Mafia, however. And that's exactly what's going to be put down here from Dim Sum Boy. Nova Pulse activated 2. Stuns AGM. Nobody's entering in just yet. jcrueL spots out 1. There's 2 players coming through here. jcrueL's from the brawk. And AGM will have the trade. His critical falls. Dim Sum Boy. Been dangerous. Needs to be a little more so. Spotted out by 2 players. Bait and switch. Called there by Complexity. Great communication and good timing. AGM finishing the job. 12 to 10. And here's that situation. Broken economy for the Mafia. And Complexity with map point.
Yeah, that... I don't think they realized dropping that Cosmic Divide down that there was actually just nobody playing long. Everybody played on site, played towards the back of it. And so it didn't really like leave anybody, blocked off.
This goes here.
And it just allowed Complexity to kind of just sit there and posture and deal with any of the potential entries, because now you just know like those are going to be the point of entries coming in, given that they had their bodies and teammates like dying with their Complexity. They have, I was going to say, a bunch of ultimates to play with as well. There is the first one with the Cosmic Divide. The Seekers are now used, but they did lose a body, but it's still even 4v4 as that spike goes down. But AGM, annoying on that lurk, will get himself 1. brawk will trade as well.
They completely ignored AGM, even after AGM was started spraying them down. I don't know what was going on there. Mafia were so tunnel visioned on